Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna show you how I made this book PC case. It's very simple design and people won't know it's actually a PC until you look closer. For this project, I'm using B450i Aorus Pro Wi-Fi motherboard, and for CPU I'm using Ryzen 3 3200G. And for power supply, I choose 1U Flex because the size is perfect for this build. First thing to do is to make the base for the motherboard and the power supply. I'm using MDF because it is easier to work with. For the base, I use 3mm MDF. I could go for 6mm or thicker, but I'm trying to make the case as light as possible. Before cutting the MDF, I just double check that everything will fit together. I made 2 of these for the top cover as well. Now, I will mark the positions for the standoff. I will use these nut inserts for the standoff. Before using the nut inserts, I drill a hole so that it is easier for the nut inserts to be inserted. For extra strength, I apply wood glue for each hole. For power supply, I'll be using this L bracket as a standoff. Same with the motherboard. Drill and glue for extra strength. Now I can put the standoff. For the front side of the power supply, I'll be using L bracket as well, but there's only one hole for the L bracket here. I mark the positions of the bracket and apply glue. it's time to make the walls. The height of the wall is about 6 cm. I decided to use 9mm MDF so I can use screws to hold it together. Before I put the screw in, I drill a hole to avoid the MDF being ripped apart when I put the screw later. Once the drilling is done, putting the screw in is so much easier. Next, we need to make a space for the I/O and for the power supply. For that, we need to mark the area that needs to be cut off. Once it's marked, we can proceed to cut it off. This part was a little bit tricky. I had to use a smaller saw to make the initial cut. Once the cut is big enough, I was able to use the bigger saw. As you can see, it's far from perfect, but I think it will get the job done. Now, we need to cut the bottom part of the I/O bracket. Here how it's looked. Before we put it permanently, it's a good idea to check if everything fits together. Testing with the I/O shield on the I/O bracket. Well, I think everything looks nice. Now we can glue the bottom part first. Here I noticed that the other side of the wall is a little bit fragile. So I use L bracket to support the wall, mark the position, and apply glue on it. I mark the positions of the CPU fan on the top cover and I drill holes on it to make a little bit of an airflow inside the case. After that, I proceed to glue the rest of the iron bracket permanently. And then I use clamp to hold it together until it dries. The top cover will open and close like this, just like a book, but we need something to hold it when it's closed, so I'll be using this magnetic door catch. I apply glue on it, but later I use screw because the glue is unable to hold it. Next, time to paint the case. Although later it will be covered with the paper cover, but with paint it is easier to glue the paper and it's stronger. I apply a few layers of the paint with at least 12 hours interval. This paint also protects the case from any sort of liquid. When the paint is dried, now I can glue the hinges between the case and the top cover. I mark the positions of the hinge and apply glue. I think the glue is strong enough for the hinges. Now we can proceed to design the cover of the case. For that, I'll be using Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark is pretty easy to use. Just look any template you like. And then you can enter any size you want from the custom size tab. In my case is 213 by 300 mm. And then click done. Don't forget to name the project. In this template, you can edit any words on it, just like how I did it here. I used 3 different templates for the bottom, mid and top sections, and then I used a custom size to fit all 3 together. Then I downloaded it as PDF format for a better printing. I went to a local print shop to print it for me. The paper that I use is 400 GSM and it's perfect for the case cover. The excess paper is cut off and it's ready to be glued on the case. Now we just need to apply a fair amount of glue on the case before we put the cover on it. When everything is done, the cover sits pretty nice on the case. I decided to not have a hole for the CPU fan on the top cover because I'm afraid it will ruin the paper, and also for aesthetic reason. The final process of this build is to mount everything together. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be using B450i Aorus Pro Wi-Fi motherboard paired with Ryzen 3 3200G. I'll be using 2GB memory sticks. For the storage, I'll be using 250GB M.2 from Lexa. Then for the CPU fan, I'll be using NHL9A low profile cooler. That's it for the build. This is really a fun project. The final looks really is as how I imagine it, although there are many rooms to improve. In my view, it does look like a book until you look closer. I hope you really enjoyed the video and tell me what you think in the comment. I'll be posting another video about this PC performance benchmark, including the temperature, noise and other things. So make sure to subscribe to not miss it. Thank you for watching.